4th of July weekend, Unity on the Bay. Good morning, Unity. Happy 4th of July weekend. Thank you for allowing us in our homes once again. It's a little different this 4th of July weekend, but you know what? I decided to dress up. But I'm going to be completely honest, I can't see a thing. I really can't see. Reverend Juan, can I please take these glasses off, please? Please?
No.
Was that God or was that Reverend Juan?
Maybe.
Okay. I'm going to take them
Sure,
off.
why not?
Good morning, everyone. My beautiful wife said that I look like a flight attendant this morning. Do I look like a flight attendant this morning? Welcome to Unity Air. The exits are to the front and to the back. I could have been a good flight attendant, maybe. All right, let's get to the announcements to get this service started. So here in the spiritual community, we believe that it is your divine birthright to live an abundant, prosperous life. Many of us, through our thinking and actions, live against the grain of spiritual laws which cause us to live in lack. This is why here at Unity on the Bay, we are continuously offering you prosperity courses because we want you to live your best abundant life. The next journey begins on July 21st with Reverend Juan online. The course is Absolute Abundance Advanced, for those abundant students who want to go to the next level of feeling prosperous. Register on our website today, unityonthebay.org. We know that these are tough times right now, and everyone can use some support. And we want to remind you that Unity on the Bay offers one-on-one spiritual support. Facilitators assist individuals through prayer and empathic listening in developing a growing understanding and appreciation for the presence, comfort, and guidance of God. It is designed to inspire and awaken you to the possibilities of spiritual growth in the midst of life changes. Don't be ashamed to ask for help. What are the hardest words to say sometimes? Help me. Visit our webpage and click on support at the top to get all the details right there. Lastly, if you haven't discovered our midweek service yet, I highly recommend that you take some time on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern to attend our Om Hour online. In just 1 hour, you'll enjoy live spiritual music written by our own congregant, Ann Hoffman, a potent spiritual lesson, and a centering meditation. Add it to your spiritual practice every week and notice how much more relaxed and focused you will be. You can watch via our Facebook or on YouTube. Now, let's get this service started with my Reverend and yours, our Associate Minister, Reverend Juan del Hierro.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for that, Faye. Happy 4th of July weekend, everybody. Now, if Faye was the flight attendant, I just want you to make sure that you don't think of me as the pilot. I'm more of like a frequent flyer who just wants to give you some helpful tips that have helped me along the journey, okay? So just know that I'm really blessed to be with you this morning and to be part of this community. I want to thank you for joining Unity on the Bay, a positive path for spiritual living. I also want to remind you that these services come alive through you, so make sure that you interact with us, hoot and holler at your TV, at your computer screen, wherever you're watching from, and make sure that you comment in the section below, because we really would love to just experience you as you experience this service. We want to remind you that we are taking the necessary measures and following guidelines to make sure that all of us that are in here are keeping under the guidelines to keep ourselves safe as we are moving through the pandemic. If you're watching us for the first or second time, we'd love to get to know you even a little bit more. We'd love for you to text NEW to the number 305-573-9191. Now, I want to invite you all to recognize that you have connected with us by divine appointment, that we have found each other. And part of the ways in which we have is because something within us resonates with the vision and mission of Unity on the Bay. And I'm going to invite us all to speak it together. First the mission, then the vision. Together, we are an inclusive community serving as a catalyst for spiritual awakening, evolution, and action. Our vision, humanity inspired to its divinity. Also join me now in reciting and affirming our building affirmation. We give thanks that Unity on the Bay's right and perfect new home is manifesting under the guidance of God. I know some of you know what that's all about, right? So, let's just take all that energy and let us move into a moment of prayer, which is really a moment to recognize the very presence of God, the very presence of Spirit that is alive within us and as us. And so we allow ourselves to feel into this truth, recognizing that as we do, our hearts, our minds, our more open to experiencing ourselves and each other as sacred. As we know ourselves to be the holy expressions of all that is good, the holy expressions of God, we allow ourselves to radiate all that God is: peace, love, and light. Radiating it so that we can experience it more fully, and radiating it so that we may cover the earth with all that God is. So it is as we let it be, covering the earth with all this good, with all this energy, with the consciousness that we are. Amen and amen.
Good morning, Unity on the Bay.
Seen it before, felt it before. Peace I can't explain. Love that won the war is here now. Can you feel it now? Let it cover you. The spirit rise up, break through the walls, beat down the doors, crash through the windows. Cover the earth, the earth, the earth, the earth. Let the spirit rise up and break through the walls and beat down the doors, crash through the windows and cover the earth, the earth, the earth, the earth, the earth, the earth, the earth. Bricks won't hold it in, love won't hold it down, love will let it out. Let it drown the darkness, the fears and brokenness. Can you feel it now? Let it cover you. Oh, let the spirit rise up, let it break through the walls and beat down the doors and crash through the windows and cover the earth, the earth, the earth, the earth. Let the spirit rise up, let it break through the walls and beat down the doors and crash through the windows and cover the earth, the earth, the earth, the earth, the earth. Oh, the earth. Let it cover.
Fear has no choice but to bow. Chains have no choice but to break. Shame has no choice but to leave in your presence. Fear has no choice but to bow. Chains have no choice but to break. Shame has no choice but to leave in your presence. Fear has no choice but to bow. Chains have no choice but to break. Shame has no choice but to leave in your presence. Fear has no choice but to bow. Chains have no choice but to break. Shame has no choice but to leave in your presence. So let the spirit rise up, let it break through the walls and beat down the doors and crash through the windows and cover the earth, the earth, the earth, the earth. Let the spirit rise up, let it break through the walls and beat down the doors and crash through the windows and cover the earth, the earth, the earth, the earth.
Ooh, the earth. Let your love, Lord, let it cover the earth.
Woo! Woo! It is so great to have you here, Myra. Dale, you are a superstar. Mr. Anthony, even in a mask, you can play extraordinarily well. That's incredible. We're so blessed. Aren't we blessed? Woo. I'm just imagining all you guys here. You know that. I've had too much coffee this morning. You guys know how I get when that happens. Okay, so it is now time for the Daily Word, and we've got an extra special treat for you this morning. When we were meeting here in person, this gentleman was leading up the team handling the lights and the projectors in the back, and he is such a great guy. He's an Army vet and passionate about volunteering at his spiritual community, Unity on the Bay. Today, Jeffrey Morgan reads the Daily Word for us. Jeffrey, take it away.
Good morning, Unity on the Bay. I just had to make a quick note here. 3 years ago when I started Unity and we were doing White Rocks, on my first White Rock, I wrote comfort. And today, I'm reading comfort. Christ in me is my comfort. Experiences that move me out of my comfort zone are part of my life. The first day at a new school, starting or leaving a job, a new phase in a relationship, retiring from a career, the passing of a loved one. Any change can evoke discomfort, even grief. I grieve when I think of change as loss of security, loss of my place in my community, or loss of love. The Christ, the divine presence of life, love, and wisdom within me is my constant source of comfort through all the life's changes. I find assurance that although its physical expressions may change, life can never end. I know oneness and love with all who have been dear to me. Recognizing my divine nature, I know that there is no loss, change, or circumstance that can limit me, and I am comforted. You would increase my honor and comfort me once again. Psalms 71:21.
You did such a great job. At this time, we're going to prepare for a guided meditation led by Reverend Juan. I want to remind you that if you have any prayer intentions, you can submit them right now in the comment section, and one of our prayer chaplains will get back to you. Or you can also go to Unity on the Bay, unityonthebay.org/prayer, and one of our prayer chaplains will answer any prayer intention that you may have. So now let us ease into a time of meditation with this song by Dale and Anthony and Myra. Myra will be dressing the beautiful stage. We're going to put the lyrics up on the screen so you can follow along.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one.
And so let us just continue to hold that vision as I invite you to take a deep breath. if you haven't done so already, to gently close your eyes and recognize that in this moment, here, in this space, the world is as one. For here in this moment, we allow ourselves to be more fully aware of the presence of divine presence within our heart and the heart of all humanity. In this experience, then, we know, we affirm that we are all divinely connected, one consciousness, one awareness. And so take another deep breath. Going further within. In the inner sanctuary of our being, we feel and get a sense of the very energy of God, the very spirit of that Christ nature that we are, fully aware of itself through and as us, knowing ourselves to be expressions of good. And so feel into this awareness. Hold this affirmation. And feel now as your heart continues to expand and hold more of this truth within it. Notice as the mind becomes more still, and recognize as here in this moment you feel lighter. For you are letting go, for you are shedding anything that is no longer serving you. Fully stepping into this awareness, oneness. And it feels liberating. It feels like freedom. The very energy of life, joy, and happiness. Take another deep breath. Let us take a few moments in the silence to experience all that we are in our divine connection to the inspiration and guidance of Spirit. here and now. Here and now. We know ourselves to be. We know our truth as expressions of light and love. And now we give thanks that we know the truth of our being and the ways in which we live it out in our own experience, our own life, and in the ways in which it blesses all humanity, for we are connected. We are one. And we give thanks for this very presence of oneness that we are a part of. We give thanks for these moments of clarity, of awareness. We give thanks that together we rise up to live these principles, this truth, and be more embodied expressions of all that God is. Thank you, sweet Spirit. So it is, as we let it be. Amen and amen.
There's no darkness in your eyes. There's no question in your mind, God Almighty, God of mercy. There's no hiding from your face. There's no striving in your grace, God of mercy, God Almighty. Let there be light. Open the eyes of the blind. Purify our hearts in your fire. Breathe in us, we pray. Spirit, have your way. There's no borders in your love, no division in your heart, God of heaven, God of freedom. There's no taking back the loss, no regret in what it cost, God of freedom, God of heaven. Let there be light. Open the eyes of the blind. Purify our hearts in your fire. Breathe in us, we pray. Let there be light. Open our eyes to your heart. Desperate just to know who you are. Shine in us, we pray. Spirit, have your way.
embracing the poor, comfort for all those who mourn, for the broken-hearted. Sing louder, release from prison and shame, oppression turning to praise for every captive. Sing louder, restoring sight to the blind, breaking the curse of the night for all in darkness. Sing louder, proclaiming freedom for all. This is the day of the Lord, beauty for ashes. Yes. Let there be light. Open the eyes of the blind, Lord. Purify our hearts in your fire. Breathe in us, we pray.
Yes, God, we pray.
Let there be light. Open our eyes to your heart. Desperate just to know who you are. Shine in us, we pray. Spirit, have your way.
Let the light that shines above become the light that shines in us. There's no darkness in your way, so have your way.
Lord, have your way.
Thank you, guys. I mean, that was just really beautiful. And one of the things that I found so exquisite about it was the unison, right, of the songs, of the voices. And I want to invite you to really consider the ways in which, in unison, we can make ourselves felt and heard. Before we continue with the service, I want to just invite you through the advocacy committee to get involved with the census and voter registration as we are celebrating July 4th weekend and really looking at the ways in which we are expressing ourselves as members of this community called the United States. I really want to invite you to fill out your census. If you haven't done so already, there's a link at the bottom in the comment section. Please go and fill out that census. It's the way in which our local government and programs get funding from the federal government. And so the ways in which you fill it out or don't fill out could actually affect the ways in which somebody who really needs certain services may or may not receive it. I also want to invite you to register to vote. That link is at the bottom also. And if you are already registered to vote, to consider registering so that you can vote by mail in the next coming elections. That link is also below. It's really about us taking ownership and responsibility of some of the ways in which we get to be blessed to be part of this community. So invite you to look at that, and if you have more questions, you can look at the Advocacy Committee webpage on our unityonthebay.org website. So with that, it is July 4th weekend, so I've got a knock-knock joke for you, kind of. Are you ready for this one? Jason thought it was funny when I shared it with him earlier. How come there's no knock-knock joke about America? Because freedom rings. Listen, I am free to tell that joke, okay? But you know, we are commemorating something from 244 years ago when the Declaration of Independence was signed. And it was a declaration. For me, I feel that it was an affirmation of freedom, which in part read, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." And just like the affirmations that I create for myself, I believe that it is something that I am living into, that we are still living into. When I declare my freedom, I recognize that that is something that is happening within me, and I'm reminding myself that it is up to me to make it so, to express it in my life. When I remind myself of that happiness, of that joy, I remind myself that I am the one that gets to choose how to express and live into that joy, giving myself permission to actually do that. So affirming it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a done deal. Putting it in the Declaration of Independence or making our own affirmations, it's not about just saying it once and forgetting about it. It is a daily practice, right? I mean, you've worked with affirmations. It is a daily practice to put it before us and to allow it to really settle within us so that then we may actually experience it and live it out. And it may take time. And I know that we are in a moment in time where quite a few of us recognize that it's taken too long to live up to the ideals of that Declaration of Independence. And I hear that, and I get that. I feel it too. And I recognize that I believe that we will always be in our own evolution towards that being more perfectly expressed in our society and within us. It is part of the evolution that I believe I am being a part of, that is happening in my own life. And I will always, at least I believe, until I fully understand my truth, as we truly understand our truth as individuals within this society, we will continually be finding ways in which we may not be living up to it, but are invited to more fully embody it. And so this July 4th, I really centered on asking myself some really important questions about how I can more fully embody my truth. And these truths, these inalienable rights, right, that we talk about, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, the professed ideals of this country. And I ask myself, what does it even mean to me? What does it even mean to me to express this life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? And for me, it talks about and it means freedom, right? The freedom to choose how I'm going to seek out this joy. And in spiritual terms, it's really about that choice that we have. Are we looking for that joy? Are we pursuing that happiness from the perspective of the ego that has such attachment to things, conditions, the way things are? Or are we looking at it from our spiritual eyes and recognizing that we can choose love regardless of outer circumstances? We can choose to feel and be an expression of the sacredness that we are. And although that choice may sound simple, fighting the conditions that we have been raised in, fighting the consciousness of limitation and scarcity is something that we really have to work towards. It's something that has been ingrained within me from my own upbringing, from some of what I've experienced and been a part of in this country, right? Like there's a lot of layers that we are invited to push through and move through in order to really step more boldly into the joy. Now, for me, the choice is clear when I recognize that what it is really a choice to be present to the presence. It is a choice to put God first, to choose God in all situations, to choose God regardless of the circumstances. And both Charles and Myrtle Fillmore are co-founders. They speak about the power and the things that come from choosing God. Charles says, "The free, open mind thus stayed on God is certain to bring forth joy, real satisfaction in living, and true prosperity." Myrtle says, "Inspiration, enthusiasm, strength, joy, and outer supply come to you in every increasing measure as you depend upon the only source there is for your sufficiency. And so in all, look for God. Affirm the presence of God." And as I look at then the words from the Declaration of Independence, I don't know if it's just where I'm at with everything that is happening, but I recognize, looking at it from a different perspective, that it's really interesting and maybe part of how I'm experiencing some of the issues that we as a society in the United States have had to deal with. It's interesting that we have the freedom to pursue happiness. How about the freedom to choose it, to be it, to embody it? But so often, I think, part of our own DNA as a society is that we're always in pursuit. We're always seeking. We're always in that rat race, that, like how we call it. And it was really interesting. I went and spent some time with some friends yesterday, very safely. And we were talking about, he's the manager of like a restaurant group, like about 5 restaurants. His, during the pandemic, his salary was cut by more than half. And his employees have had to deal with these things. And so we were just talking about that. But we got to the place of saying, well, what he's heard from the majority of his employees is, I don't have as much money in the bank. I'm nervous about the finances. But wow, to have balance in my life, to have time with my family, to have the space for rest, that has been a gift. And so they may not be experiencing the financial well-being that they were experiencing before, but they are happy. And what if we really took ownership of these lessons that we have been receiving to recognize that it is time to get out of this mentality of the rat race and just choose happiness now. No longer pursue it, just embody it. Hafiz, the Sufi poet, says, ever since happiness heard your name, it has been running through the streets trying to find you. Imagine if we allowed ourselves to be found. If we let go of the ways in which we have conditioned ourselves to almost build up a harness around the truth of our being. Maybe we were hurt. Maybe we are angry. Maybe we've experienced things that we wish we wouldn't have experienced, and we have allowed it to cloak the truth of our being, where it becomes difficult for ourselves to even find our own truth, our own self. Imagine being able to let go of that, to really step more boldly into just simply being all that we are. Now, Hafiz has this wonderful poem. See, I love that Hafiz poem, and so it made me just start looking through a lot of his work, and I found this poem that I thought was really wonderful for July 4th weekend. He says, "We have not come here to take prisoners, but to surrender ever more deeply to freedom and joy. We have not come into this exquisite world to hold ourselves hostage from love. Run, my dear, from anything that may not strengthen your precious budding wings. Run like hell, my dear, from anyone likely to put a sharp knife into the sacred, tender vision of your beautiful heart. We have a duty to befriend those aspects of obedience of our house and to shout out to our reason, oh please, come out and play. For we have not come here to take prisoners or to confine our wondrous spirits, but to experience ever and ever more deeply our divine courage, freedom, and light." As I read that poem, at first I thought, this is just going to support the talk, and I'm going to go into some of my own practices and how I feel I'm being called into it. And then I realized, simplicity, right? The power of simplicity, not overcomplicating things. That poem itself is the roadmap to how we can experience a greater sense of freedom, of love, of happiness, of joy. And so, as Hafiz says, we have not come here to take prisoners. I ask myself, and I invite you to ask yourself, are you holding yourself, am I holding myself or anyone else imprisoned by our own judgments of them, of ourselves? Am I confining myself for others, and limiting the ways in which I am experiencing life through our relationships? Or do I, in this moment, choose to uphold the sacredness that we each are? Knowing myself as sacred and knowing others as sacred. I love that we are at Unity on the Bay doing this healing racism and upholding ethnic fairness workshop sessions. And we have about 40 or so individuals that are a part of it. And we are doing just that, really stepping into asking the important questions. How have we held ourselves and each other sacred? And doing the work of dismantling anything that has kept us from doing that. Hafiz also says then, we have not come into this exquisite world to hold ourselves hostage from love. Am I being vulnerable? Do I allow myself to feel all that is rising up in me without judgment, right? Do I allow myself to feel hurt, anger, hope, gratitude, to really allow myself to be vulnerable to everything that I'm experiencing, not being held hostage by it, but not allowing myself to be held hostage from it, so that I can truly heal and be an expression of love in my own life and in the lives of others? Do I place a wall between myself and others for whatever the reason? Well, I believe that this time of healing is about letting go of those walls. It is to say yes to the love that already is and just simply allow everything that we have built up around it to be let go, so that love itself is what supports us. And I do believe that it is about looking at our relationships. I know that love is something that takes place within us, right? And it's something that we are. And I've been blessed that I've had such beautiful relationships that they mirror that love back to me so exquisitely that I can't help but know that that is my truth. He says, "Run, my dear, from anything that may not strengthen your precious budding wings. Run like hell, my dear, from anyone likely to put a sharp knife into the sacred, tender vision of your own heart." Are there people and things around you, around me, that are lifting me up? Or are there things and people around me that I'm allowing to hold me down? Is there any toxicity in your life? Is there something that is taking too much of your energy away from the one thing that I said I want to do in my life, which is to choose God, to embody the truth of my being? And so if we're putting so much attention and so much energy, and we are allowing our energy to be drained by things and individuals that are not building us up, then we may not have the energy to build ourselves up. So I ask you, what is around you? And how is it supporting you or keeping you down? It may not be that we run away from these situations, but maybe what we need to run away from is the ways in which we are experiencing those situations, right? And to be able to have a different perspective of those situations and be able to experience it and live it much differently. With everything going on with the COVID pandemic, right? It's all over the place, right? And so this past week I had to talk to my mom because my mom kept texting us about all the testing, all the results that are coming in, all the news about it. When I would be on the phone with her, she wanted to share everything, all her fears and all her anxieties. And I get it, but I also get that I watch the news. I also get that I have my information. And so I told her, I said, Mom, I am being mindful. I am following the guidance. I am looking at what I need to look at, and I'm only giving it this much attention. The rest of my attention goes to the other things that I am prioritizing in my life. So in our conversations, just know I've got it, and I don't have time for all of that anymore. In my conversation with you, we're going to talk about our relationship. We're going to talk about the joy. We're going to talk about the ways in which we are so connected and supporting each other, right? So maybe that's something that we all can be mindful of. And so I ask myself also, am I being tender with myself in those experiences? Because let me tell you, I don't know about you, but I am usually the one that has the sharpest knife on my heart sometimes. I'm the one that can hurt myself the most. And so I ask myself, how am I being tender through this process? How, as I am going into embodying that life, liberty, and joy, how am I loving myself and really being tender and being okay with the ways in which I may still be evolving into it? We have a duty to befriend those aspects of obedience of our house and to shout out our reason, oh, please, come out and play. That to me is obedience to truth. Our house is the house of God. To be obedient to knowing that my rest, my wholeness is God. And so for me, obedience is about the practice that reminds me of those things. And I ask myself, how am I living out my practices, right? I know practices support me in achieving certain things. I know that if I have a healthy eating practice, it's going to have some results that I want to experience in my life. Well, I know that to be true also in recognizing my truth. I know that there are spiritual practices that will get me closer to that. So last weekend, there was about 50 individuals that came together. You probably got an email inviting you to it. It was to come to this session to just talk about our spiritual journey. And about 50 people showed up, and one of the questions was, what is missing in your spiritual life? And here I was thinking that people were going to talk about actual practices. They were going to talk about, I need more meditation programs, or I need more classes. And what I kept hearing over and over again was, I'm missing more commitment to the practices that I already have. And so I asked myself if that is what's missing within me and how I can almost trick myself and hold myself accountable to the practices that I say and that I know will lead to the results that I want to experience. So for example, I'm going to invite you to join me at the Absolute Abundance class that I'll be teaching in the next couple of weeks, because for me, one of the things that I love about facilitating them is that all of a sudden, I become accountable to all the people that are participating in that class, and it holds me more accountable then to live into my commitment of these practices. For we have not come here to take prisoners or to confine our wondrous spirits. How are you sharing your spirit? How are you sharing the gifts that were given uniquely to you with those around you? But to experience ever and ever more deeply our divine courage, freedom, and light. In this pursuit of life, liberty, justice, I really invite you to not be discouraged by the valleys and the challenges that we have had to move through and that we will be moving through, whether in your own life or in the life of this country. For as another Sufi poet, Rumi, says, birds make great sky circles of their freedom. How do they learn it? They fall, and falling, they've given wings. My friends, we are just beginning to fly, and together we will soar. Namaste.
Thank you, Reverend Juan. What an incredible message. And did you guys notice how slim and trim our Reverend is? Like, slim and trim. The rest of us are dealing with our quarantine 15, okay? Yes, no, don't judge. I have 3 different Spanx on, okay? And our Reverend is healthy and trim. You know what? On second thought, I'm glad that you are slim and trim. We need you healthy and healthy and healthy. We are so blessed to be part of this incredible community, Unity on the Bay. We especially appreciate you, yes, you, and your giving during these challenging times. Our Sunday celebrations and Om Hour are the primary ways in which we are financially supported. We are continuing to be mindful and serve as good stewards of all we have and all we receive, while we provide the necessary programming to support you, our community. Your giving is made simple through text giving or through our website. If you want to give via text, just text UOTB to 73256. That's UOTB to 73256. Set that up one time. It makes your life a lot easier. Or you can also go to unityonthebay.org, and we'll put all that information on the screen for you. We thank you for your gifts this morning, and let's bless them together. Divine love, that I am, blesses all that I give and all that I receive. Now it's time to bring the kiddies up, bring the kiddies up, bring the kiddies up. Let me see you. Show teeth. Show teeth. Good job. I miss you guys so much. Let's bless the children together. Children, we love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. We behold the Christ in you, and we see you doing great things. Make sure you put a picture of your kid in the comment section. We want to say hello to them, or your four-legged kid as well. Just a reminder that the Kids Zone is open at 3:30 p.m. today online. Raul's the facilitator, and he is just simply amazing. I love you, Raul. Go on our website for all the details. 3:30 today, Kids Zone. If you're watching us for the first or second time, we'd love to get to know you better. Help us get to know you better. So just text NEW, N-E-W, to 305-573-9191. That's 305-573-9191. If you'd like us to pray for you, we're going to put a link in the comment section as well with more information about how you can submit your prayer intention. Now Dale will lead us in a prayer for protection.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you so much for being with us today. Now, join us as we sing together the peace song. Have an amazing day.